You guys ready?
Yep.
Welcome to the Sun Journal's Tourney 17 preview of the boys basketball tournament. Joined here, I'm Justin Pelletier. I'm joined by Will Kramlich and Randy Whitehouse. We're going to talk a little bit of basketball here as we get into tourney time. I can't believe it's tourney time already, guys. It feels like this winter's just flown right by.
No, it doesn't.
Come on now, you're not excited for all the snow?
Nope.
I concur, but for other reasons outside of basketball.
Fair enough. For those who don't know, Will is an expecting father. He will be hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks. So if you miss him around the tournament tables, that's probably why. But
when you see him again, give him a cigar.
Or two or four. And pink, by the way, pink cigar.
Yeah.
So let's get back to basketball because that's really why we're here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the three tournaments in which we have local teams this next couple of weeks, which is AA and B and C on the boys' side. Let's start with AA, and Randy, we'll start with you because you earlier this week said that AA might be your most intriguing of the tournaments, even though we only have 6 teams in AA North. Any of those 6 teams possibly could come out of that.
Yeah, 6 pretty dangerous teams. I mean, Portland and Edward, the top 2 seeds, and they established themselves as the 2 best teams in AA North this year. I think their regular season record proves it. But you look at the rest of the list, and all those teams have either beaten or given those 2 top teams really good games during the course of the season. Of course, Wyndham handed Edward Little their only loss. Oxford Hills played the Red Eddies really tough a couple times. Deering and Cheverus are both very good teams, very dangerous teams. Deering seems to have a little bit of a mental hurdle to get over to beat Portland, but that's kind of the only thing standing in their way of having a great run here. So, while I don't know if you can make a case for a Wyndham to go all the way, you can definitely make a case for them pulling off an upset in the tournament, and that's going to make it a lot of fun, and hopefully more people are there to watch it this year.
As far as the boys tournament itself is concerned, Edward Little coming out of Auburn, they've shown flashes where they can be. They did beat Portland earlier in the season. It was really early in the season, but it did happen. They've also showed where they are vulnerable in a couple of spots. So where do you see EL's best chances here?
Well, I think there are a couple things for EL. Number one, they have, I think, a couple of the biggest X factors in the tournament going in, and that's Wil and Darby Shea. A lot of defenses, second half of the season, were geared towards stopping Darby Shea. He's a great three-point shooter. He can go off for 4, 5, 6 3-pointers in a game, and a lot of teams were doing box and ones and zones to make sure they had somebody shadowing him all over the perimeter. So, you talk about Edward Little, you talk about Jerry Norcross Plord, you talk about Samatar Iman, but really the 2 guys that could really make things more difficult for the other opponents are Darby Shea and Wil who, if you've been paying attention on social media, you've seen what he's capable of, and he's not only a terrific athlete and dunker, he's always the key to their defense. They stick him up there at the top of the zone, top of the press, and with his 6'9" wingspan and athleticism, he can create a lot of havoc. Portland, in their loss to EL, had a lot of problems with him and with their defense. So, those are really the X factors as far as EL is concerned. Their depth or lack thereof is a little bit of a concern, but those top 6. Are all capable of affecting the game in some way.
And Wil might be worth a price admission alone, and just to see what is he going to do on that big stage, and that'll be really exciting to see.
Well, let's switch gears here a little bit and check out the boys, the Southern, excuse me, still got the Western Southern thing going.
Everyone's still
the Class B South bracket. We were loaded with local teams in the Class B South bracket with Spruce Mountain and Lisbon and Oak Hill all sitting in that bracket down at the Portland Expo and of course the Cross Insurance Arena as well. What do you see coming out of that group?
I mean, Spruce Mountain had a heck of a season in the KVAC. Up and down style, and they're always fun to watch. It's fun to see a team like that who comes from kind of way far away from Portland come down to Portland and face some of those WMC teams, like a Yarmouth. Wells had a good season. It's nice to see Oak Hill have a good season. Lisbon a good season in B. I mean, they're all gunning for Yarmouth, but Spruce Mountain might be one of those teams that the teams down in Portland might not know so much about and could surprise some people.
From an athleticism standpoint.
Yeah, the Western Maine Conference has dominated this region. Going back to when it was B West, and it's always tough for those KVAC and MVC teams to know what they're getting into and facing those teams in the tournament. If it's ever going to happen for Spruce Mountain, it's going to be this year. They've got a lot of seniors. They've got a lot of experience. They've got kids that can spread the floor, and they don't have a lot of size, but they can shoot over you. And like Will said, they play a really fun up and down style. They got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, so they're the number 2 seed for good reason this year. It's not like in past years where some of those teams come out of the MVC and KVAC are kind of paper tigers. I think Spruce Mountain's legit, and I think they'll give any team a run for their money in that region.
And speaking of giving teams a run for their money, we talked a little bit about earlier this season here with a story in the Sun Journal about how Dirigo might be coming on just about the right time on the boys' side. They snuck into that boys' bracket, and now they're going to go. They're going to face a longtime MVC nemesis in Halldale in that opener. And then if that matchup, if they're able to get through that matchup, they face one of those WMC teams, which in Class C traditionally has been the weaker of the two sets of conferences, even though the MVC seems to be just a hair down, Winthrop notwithstanding, this year in the overall side of things. So is that set up right for Dirigo? Could they make a run through this thing as the 12?
I'm not putting anything past Dirigo. They're still very, very young. The reason they're in the tournament is the quality of their wins. They've beaten some really good teams, some teams that were worth a lot of heel points this year. This is Winthrop's tournament to lose, I think. Wayne Fleet's kind of lurking there. They're kind of scary. They have the pedigree, even though they've had some roster turnover from last year. They're still a little bit scary. Richmond's kind of an unknown because the teams from the MVC haven't really seen them this year. They've put up an outstanding season so far, and I've seen them play. They're pretty athletic and a tough team to kind of control in the tempo of the game. But I think this is Winthrop's bracket all the way. They have more balance than they've had in previous years. They probably have better inside scoring than they've had in previous years. They probably have a little more depth than they've had in previous years. And, we were talking about Spruce Mountain. This is another team that feels like they have a little something to prove this year. And, I think they're going to be driven to show that, 18-0 wasn't a fluke.
And they're kind of built for the tournament, with a star like Hickey from the outside who can also go play on the inside, and then the 2 twin towers inside, Saprati and Wood. Yeah. It's going to be tough for anyone to go up against them, especially where they're feeling so good and they have the experience from last year.
Yeah, that balance was something that they were lacking very much on the previous 2 years. Another team I think that's kind of interesting is Booth Bay. They've kind of flown under the radar all year, and maybe some people would say kind of underachieved this year, but they've had some injuries. But there's still quite a bit of talent there, and keep an eye out on them. I think they could be very dangerous as well.
Yeah, IJ's been there a couple times.
Yeah. Randy, Will, thank you all very much for all of your tournament updates all week. Follow us online at sunjournal.com/tourney17. That's TOURNEY17. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram and on Twitter using the hashtag tourney17. And of course, all of the tourney news at hashtag ME Sports from all of the outlets across the state of Maine. Again, Justin Pelletier, Randy Whitehouse, Will Kramlich. See you at the tournament.